saw a piano type thing. There was a keyboard that was a wind instrument. And it's just literally a keyboard with a thing on the side to blow into.
Yeah?
Yeah, this music store I was in, I was like, try it. I was like, no. You have that on display. Please, no.
Please, no.
I don't want to have the spit of everyone in my mouth.
But keyboard wind instrument
Nah.
is the thing. So, this is NLR. That's what I'm going to call from now on. How's that sound?
Niller.
Niller. Definitely NLRing right now. So
It's Niller time.
Niller time?
Mm-hmm.
It's Niller time, baby!
Oh, yes.
And we are here to bring you some nerd stuff, geek stuff, and
What's the difference between nerd and a geek?
whatever you want it to be. They're the same thing sometimes they're not. First random bit of news here. I was just scrolling through some EQD just real quick.
Mm-hmm.
There's a toy with Applejack, and it has a hat! It finally happened. Hats on Applejack.
What? No. Is it a removable hat?
Yes. It is a hat that comes with it. It is part of the Rainbow Rocks toys.
Rainbow doesn't really rock.
Rainbow does rocks.
Mm.
So yeah, that's a bunch of stuff that's happening. There's other pony things that are happening too. Like the comic books are still coming out, and they just released a new set of cards. It happened recently, I think last week. The new trading card game cards came out. So it sounds like you're so excited. You were so excited about trading card games last?
Nah.
No?
I'm not excited anymore.
Not excited no more?
No.
Why not?
Just, sounds better in theory.
So you don't like Magic the Gathering, having babies with Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon?
Pretty much.
You're not a fan, huh?
Not a fan.
So it's like Magic the Gathering has a baby with Pokemon cards, and then it has a baby with Yu-Gi-Oh! And then those two babies have a baby together, and then that's Magic, and is that My Little Pony trading card game? Collectible card game?
Mm-hmm.
But the new thing you do get in the collectible card game is Princess Luna and Princess Celestia cards.
What about Princess Cadence cards?
Nope. Princess Case is the worst princess.
But she's the best princess.
Nope. This is incorrect.
Best princess.
She's only best princess in Opposite Land. Yeah? Yeah.
Best princess in all lands.
Nope. In other news, it's been going around the internet, but the new mascot for McDonald's Happy Meals is really freaking creepy. Have you seen it?
Nope.
You haven't seen it? I have to show you a picture before we continue. This is quite possibly the freakiest McDonald's mascot yet. Having a clown is one thing, but this is something else. Here it is. I have found an image. Now I'm sending it to you. He just saw it, folks.
Why would they do that?
Because McDonald's? So, just to illustrate anybody who's listening to this, it is the traditional Happy Meal box with a giant smile, like really huge, and eyes on the top of the box underneath the arches, where the arches are kind of forming its, like, eyebrows or something. And the thing is they have boxes that have this printed on it, like, that they're handing out Happy Meals in. I will show Darkle that now, too.
That's creepy.
It's pretty creepy.
It's very creepy.
But don't worry, if you're in Australia, you can get Pony Happy Meal toys. But you have to deal with, you'll have to deal with the new mascot.
I'm not gonna order any Happy Meals.
Never again? Never again. So, I think we're going to talk about what video games we've played in the past week or two. What have you played?
Not much. Rocksmith, mostly.
Rocksmith.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that you play guitar, right?
Yes.
How is that going? I've never played that game before. Can you give me a quick synopsis of how it's played?
Basically, Guitar Hero with actual guitars.
Okay. And are you good at it? Are you
I'm
still
horrible.
learning? You're
I'm
horrible?
learning.
Okay. Do you
But it's
have
fun.
would you have a recommendation on how somebody would get started with that if they wanted to?
Get Rocksmith, get a guitar, have fun.
Okay. What's your favorite part of the game?
The playing of it.
The playing of it?
Yes. Isn't that generally the best part of the game?
No.
Would be when you play.
Well, I mean, like, does it have specific songs that maybe you like?
I just, not really. You're not going to get any good answers out of me on this one.
No?
No.
Well, then, okay. What did you play the week before this last week?
What's with this interrogation? What's with this interrogation?
Man, I'm just trying to find out what you did.
All you're going to get out of me is League and Rocksmith.
All right. How was League?
It's League.
Man, I've never played League before.
Should play sometime.
Nope.
Why not?
Because I don't want to get yelled at. Screw that shit.
Well, do you not play any online games?
I do play online games. I do not play online games that require the type of cooperation that is required in those types of games, with the time investment that is required in those types of games, MOBAs specifically.
Gotcha.
That if you screw up, 5 minutes later, the match is over, somebody yelled at you, no big deal, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In MOBAs, they last like 30 minutes at minimum to an hour, and if you screw up in the first 5 minutes, you hear no end of it for the next 30 minutes to an hour.
Mm-hmm.
For something that maybe was just a mistake for, you being a new player or something to that effect. If you aren't getting my drift, then maybe this has happened to a specific somebody before when they tried to play a MOBA.
I think I get where you're going with that.
That said, depending... And the other thing, too, is I have witnessed this happen between the closest of friends to the point of almost destruction of friendships, like, over these games. Now, I am not saying that this means any of these people are stable people, because if a game can ruin a friendship over 1 or 2 mistakes, then obviously there might have been a tenuous friendship to start with.
Right.
But I don't know that, something that toxic should be, I don't necessarily see the fun in something that toxic. But then again, that's just me. Now, I have heard things that, Riot Games is trying their best to try to eliminate, the toxicity, trying to promote more. It's more cohesive and better for team ethics and team winningness to promote, hey, that was a mistake, but here's why, and here's why you should do it different. But let's concentrate on moving forward instead of dwelling on the past. And they've released a bunch of statistics that, show that that is the case. The thing is, though, is people don't listen to statistics a lot of times.
Statistics suck.
I mean, look at the anti-vaccination people.
Which just got a big case study released?
Yeah, that there's literally been there's no link between vaccinations and
Says the study.
Says the study, yes. And you know what didn't stop them?
Them.
They're like, man, I don't want to do that. And to get slightly political here, hopefully it'll only be a matter of time until public schools start banning people who don't have vaccinations because, well...
Hopefully.
Get out. Get out, get out, get out. I don't want you around. You're ruining the human population. Not that it doesn't need a little ruination nowadays, but, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I played some video games. Let's pop over to my Steam profile and see what I played.
Profile. Hey, that's cheating. You're not allowed to do that.
Why not?
Because
Because why?
Just not allowed.
So, I've been playing Dark Souls 2 and Transistor. No response.
Nope. From the people who made Bastion, right?
Yes, Transistor is from the people who made Bastion.
Is it similar?
It is pretty similar, and I'll tell you why. So, the first thing is they have the same person making the music, Darren Cobb. So right off the bat, I'm just going to say that the music is amazing.
Alright.
It's pretty good. If you were at all, any way, shape, or form a fan of the Bastion music, it's not the same, but it is the same. It's the same artist, so you can definitely tell it's his style. But yeah, it's definitely something that is pleasant to the ears. Another thing that it is similar in, the perspective, the gameplay perspective. It is an isometric view, just like Bastion was. A little bit more coherent level design in that, like, it's not just floating platforms in space anymore. It is very raised platforms with different levels and stuff like that, but mostly because you're climbing like skyscrapers and stuff like that, not because you're in a world that has been destroyed by some cataclysm, right?
Right.
And the last thing that is quite similar is the art style. It's the super saturated, colorful art style. Just, it's similar. You can definitely tell that Supergiant Games made this, right? Like, you look at it and you're like, oh, the music, the view perspective, and then the art style. Okay, it looks similar enough. This definitely looks and feels like a Supergiant game. But that's about where the similarities stop. So in Bastion, it was more of like it had RPG elements,
Right.
but all the combat was real-time combat with, every time you hit the button, you would swing your weapon of choice and so on and so forth, right? And you only had like a heavy swing and a light swing, if I'm remembering correctly, for Bastion.
Probably.
Yeah,
And
something
like a special move.
Yeah. So you could do like miniature combos and stuff like that, right?
Right.
And I think you had a jump and that kind of stuff.
Did you have a jump?
I don't remember,
I
but
don't recall a jump.
I don't necessarily either. But
Mm.
It was pretty straightforward, right? It was kind of like a action-y, RPG-y thing, right? You had RPG stats, right? Well, you take this one, and what they did is they made it even more RPG-like. But they made it, you can still do real-time combat, but what you can do is you can go into this section called plan. So what you can do is it'll freeze time, and then you have a certain amount of, we can call them action points, but it's defined as a bar across the top of your screen. And certain moves, which you have 4 of at any given time, will take up a certain amount of action points, and so will moving as well. Movement is a limited resource. So, and while you can do the combat in real time, that bar has to be full for you to be able to do a lot of moves, because
Right.
there are a handful of moves that can be used during what's called the cooldown phase, which is just like any other RPG. So there are a plethora of moves, and you unlock them as you go. And if you die, like if you run out of health, what happens is there's checkpoints in the game, and if you die, you lose access to one of your moves. Like, it just goes away for, usually, so far, for me, it's only ever been for 2 checkpoints. So you have to get to 2 checkpoints, and then the move becomes not overloaded anymore, is what they call it. So, and you can die, like, die, if all 4 of your moves are exhausted.
Right.
And you can only change your moveset. You can change your movesets out, but only at the checkpoints. So if you wanted to say use, there's a move that like turns the enemies to your side for a handful of seconds. But say you just unlocked that and you wanted to equip it, you'd have to go to the checkpoint and equip it. There are other slots too. So each of the 4 main weapons have 2 slots attached to them. And when you start, only one of the slots is open for each main weapon, or main move, I should say. And what you can do is you can slot in other moves that aren't being used on the main weapons to augment the main weapons. So, for example, if you slot in, say, with your standard attack, or at least as close to a standard attack as you get, it's called Crash. It damages the opponents for about 50 damage and kind of stuns them a little bit. If you slot in the turning the enemies to your side move with it, when you hit an enemy with that attack, it will not only damage them and stun them, but it'll turn them to your side for 5 seconds. So you can kind of stack the moves a little bit, and as you progress in the game, get more levels, you can unlock the extra slots. And then there's one last place that you can stick moves, and that's in passive slots. So you start with no passive slots open, and then you open one around like level 5 or 6, and then from there you get more as you just go along. And pretty much the passives are just as what it sounds like. The moves have passive abilities that are applied all the time. For example, there's one that I have slotted right now that it makes you harder to be detected by enemies when right after you attack them, I think. So it's kind of like but if I were to use that normally, then I could become invisible for a certain amount of time. So So lots of different ways to use the moves, lots of different combos, and the last part of it is there's it reminded me a lot of Halo 3, and well, most of the Halo games have the skull modifiers.
Right.
Remember the skull modifiers? Well, these are similar. They're called, I'm trying to remember what they're called. But they're just modifiers of the games. They make the enemies a little bit harder. They add extra conditions, like these things that you can pick up will have shields around them. Before you can pick them up, you have to knock out the shields, that kind of stuff. But it also gives you experience boosts when you defeat the enemies. So you will get, and they stack too. So if one of them is 2% experience boost and the other one's 4%, then if you use both of them, you'll get 6%.
So it's additively, not multiplicatively?
Yes. Additively, okay. Yes. So they just stack on top of each other.
Nice.
So, and then the plot so far as that I can see is this is a computery type world. I don't know if it's Tron-esque where you're inside of a computer. It seems to be that way based on all the verbiage and the way like people.
Spoilers?
You can pretty much tell this from just looking at the game. So, like, look at any of the achievements and you'll be able to tell. It's relatively available from the very start. And there's some bad guys, and you start off with this sword. It is one other similarity between this and Bastion. There is a narrator. It turns out that the narrator this time is your weapon, and the main character has no voice. So, but that is all. It's all kind of part of the plot, so I won't go too far into it to avoid what I would consider minor spoilers, but spoilers nonetheless. So. But so far, I've played 4 hours of it. I've heard many places say it's between like a 6 and 10 hour game, depending on how fast you play it. So I will probably be more on the 10-hour side than the 6-hour side. And yeah, I think it's a pretty good game. If you liked Bastion in any way, shape, or form, I would highly check it out. Yes, the combat is a little bit different. It's a little bit more challenging in spots, but it's also a little bit more easy in spots. So, to each their own. And that's pretty much a quick rundown preview of Transistor. And other than that, been mostly playing Dark Souls 2, being very slow at that.
Are you dying a lot?
Yeah, I'm dying a lot. I think at this point I have 33 hours in the game, which, as most veteran Dark Souls players would be like, is, oh, you're still in the tutorial. AKA the first time through the game.
Are you still in the tutorial?
I guess I'm still in the tutorial.
Oh, okay.
I have not NG plussed. I have only one character. I have not beat the main game yet. I have not beat it for the first time yet. So on and so forth. I don't know when I'm going to. As always, the march of games continues on, forever hindering my ability to finish games that are extremely short.
Can you look up what percentage of games you've completed on Steam?
I don't believe so.
Average game completion rate, 27%. Shit.
Where did you see that?
On your profile, I think it just goes on how many achievements you have. and
Yeah.
how many achievements you could get.
Sure.
Apparently, I've gotten 27%.
Oh, so profile, and where was it on your profile?
Oh, I have the achievement showcase unlocked.
Uh,
So on mine, it's directly at the top.
I could probably change it. Achievement showcase. 22% for mine.
Whoa. How many games do you have?
Let's see. 292.
Shit. I have 186. I need to buy more games.
And now remember, not all the games have achievements, so I don't necessarily, so that probably lowers the percentage, right? So I would say that. Go ahead.
I've played games where the games are shared to me, so I don't know how that.
Sure.
Yeah, like I could have achievements for. I guess that would still count though, wouldn't it? I don't know.
For example, not that I've beat this game, but the original Dark Souls doesn't have any achievements.
Does it not?
Nope, but I've played 5 hours of it. It's a game for Windows Live. It does have achievements. It's just not in Steam. So Steam wouldn't have any idea about those, right?
I put 49 hours into that game.
Yep. Like Dirt 2.
Deus Ex Human Revolution.
Yep. Dirt 2 I played for 9 hours, and I pretty much beat most of that. Dirt 3 I played for 15 and beat most of that. And once again, game for Windows Live, no achievements.
Right.
Grand Theft Auto 4, I played and beat that, just not on PC, right?
Yeah, so, looking at it, there's not a lot of achievements going on here.
Yeah. Remember, it'll only show you achievements if they have them and the game is installed. So.
Yeah, I have everything installed.
Okay.
Mostly everything. Mostly everything.
Yeah.
Or do you have to play them after you install them for achievements to show up?
I don't know. This is very weird because now it's not showing achievements for any of my games either.
Surgeon Simulator 2013 doesn't have any achievements?
See, the thing is I was just on Dark Souls 2, and it definitely has achievements, but they're not listed here on the game page. Oh, that's because Steam says it has no connection.
That would make too much sense. Oh, crap, me too.
They must be doing some sort of Steam maintenance.
Well, but I do see some achievements listed for some games, like Rocksmith will show me achievement Scribblenauts.
Sure.
Never mind.
Never mind.
Yeah, like I'm just going through and never mind. Okay, Left 4 Dead 2 should have achievements. It doesn't.
Nope. No connection. That's why.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about something that just happened last night. Me and you talked about this a little bit offline, but I figured that I would bring it up. It would be a decent topic.
Oh, crap. This is going to make me upset. Do you have to leave the call for a bit?
No. Do not leave the call. Because we have to talk about the internet and what it did wrong yesterday.
Did that ever get fixed?
Well, yeah. So here's the deal. Today, 5/27/2014, and before we get started, yes, I understand that the world is bigger than North America, especially the Eastern Seaboard, which is where I particularly call my residence in this wide world. Of course, there are more specific places than that I would call my residence, but we don't necessarily need to get into that because it's not necessarily important to the story. Yes, I realize that Australia would have been the first people to come into 5/27/2014 at, a specific time, about 7 hours before the eastern coast would, and of course with Pacific time being the last, 3 hours after that. So, Watch Dogs released today. Midnight release for most digital platforms, aka the two that it was available on, aka technically the one that it was available on, and that's Ubisoft's Uplay service. You could also buy it through Steam, but once it's downloaded with Steam, when you click play, it just launches Uplay and then launches the game from there. So, kind of like most Ubisoft games that are sold in Steam these days. It's just kind of the way they've been doing it, instead of being like EA, where they have their own launcher and stuff like that, where it's totally separate now. They're just doing more of like a Games for Windows Live kind of situation. Not going to talk about, that. I don't want to call it a problem because I don't think it's a problem, but that situation. Not going to talk about that. Don't actually really care about that right now. What I do care about is the fact that the game was released today with midnight releases. And this, people who pre-purchased it on Uplay, people who pre-purchased it on Steam, received their copies of games at midnight in their time zone, so on and so forth, roll out just fine. Now, there is a service that I like to use to purchase
it's a good service
games called Green Man Gaming. And the reason that I use them on most occasions is they offer pretty deep discounts for games, especially new ones, sometimes old ones. I've purchased things like Titanfall, South Park Stick of Truth, Did I already say Titanfall? I probably already said Titanfall. I actually bought 2 copies of Titanfall, one for me and one for a friend.
What? And you didn't give me one?
I'm sorry. You would have had to give me the majority of the money for it. I was just using my voucher. That's what he did. He gave me the money for it, and I just used my voucher. But anyways. And most recently, Watch Dogs. Reason being, they sent me a $25% off coupon in my email and said, hey, if you pre-order Watch Dogs now with this coupon, you'll get 25% off. And I said, you know what? I wanted to play Watch Dogs anyways. Sounds like a good deal. I get it for 25% off now. Yes, I probably could have waited, gotten a better deal later, but I get to watch it now, right? Or play it now, right? So I do it, throw the key in, or I throw the voucher in, I buy the game, comes out to be about $40 or something like that. I'm happy. That was like 2 weeks ago, whatever. Comes around to the 27th, or the evening of the 26th, I get home from Memorial Day, was out swimming, barbecue, wasn't even thinking about Watch Dogs, didn't even really care. If I hadn't even gotten it, if I hadn't have even sat down at the computer when I got home, I wouldn't even have known about any of this hullabaloo. And maybe my life would have been a little bit better. But
probably would.
So I sit down and I'm like, oh, hey, it's 27th. Watch Dogs is coming out. I wonder if they're doing a midnight release. So I go over to the Green Man Gaming site, go to load up my profile, where, keys would normally be and stuff like that. I hadn't even thought to check to see if there was going to be a preload or whatever. Get there, the site won't load. It's very slow. I was like, well, maybe they didn't do a preload and everybody's just trying to get their keys at once. So I try a couple more times, just trying to, just doing some other things on the side, whatever. And it's still not working. No big deal, right? I'm getting kind of tired. It's getting to be about 12:30-ish. And I was like, whatever. If I don't get it today. And honestly, I wasn't even necessarily looking to play it. I was just kind of looking, maybe if I can get it and get it started downloading. So when I go to sleep and when I wake up before I go to work, I could maybe play for, 15, 20 minutes. No big deal.
Right.
So I get, it's just not loading. Check my email because they usually send the key via email too. Nothing in my email. Okay, whatever. I'll pop over to the forums and see if anybody said anything. I checked their Twitter account. Nothing on their Twitter account. And I said, they're a UK company, so it's pretty early in the morning over there. Who knows if the Twitter account is being manned at this point, whatever, right? But I do know they have 24-hour support because I've emailed them in the middle of what would be the night in UK, and they have support staff. They're just like any other normal company where they have a decent 24-hour support staff, right? So I hop into the forums, and the first thing that I see is a thread that has, at that point, 30-some pages.
Pages?
Yes, of like 20 posts each. And the subject of the thread is Watchdog pre-orders. So I open it up and I look at the first one and it's like, hey, I'm an Australian. Has any other Australians gotten their keys yet? And then I just kind of scroll through and I started to notice a quick trend. And the trend was, no, I haven't gotten my keys yet. It's 20 minutes past the release time. This is BS. So this prompted me to fast forward to the end of the thread because, well, I didn't really want to see the ramp up. But this led to what I would say is the downfall of the consumer culture, at least around gaming,
Mm-hmm.
or at least one of the biggest cases of entitlement that I've ever seen,
Right.
ever, when it comes to video games. Minus another thing called the Retron 5. It's a retro video game console that I've been waiting to come out. Their Facebook page is filled with this type of entitlement for some strange reason. But we're not talking about that right now. I'm starting to notice a trend in gamers that the entitlement is getting bad to epic proportions. Like, can't even wait more than 5 minutes to have their keys now, or their games when they're quote-unquote supposed to be released. So, the thing that I noticed on this one is, the big thing was, there was no preload. I think a lot of, especially digital-only PC gamers, are getting too used to the fact that there was preloads. Now, there's something to be said about progress. I'm not shunning progress or pulling the, oh, don't you remember how it used to be? Blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to the expectations of getting a game the minute that it's released at midnight, your time, is gotta stop. It really has to stop. And of course, I think that this only really applies to the digital gamers, the ones that require it digital only. At no point do I believe that I ever saw anybody who bought the game from, now, not that I went and looked, but if I would just blatantly ignore these people if they did in fact exist.
Right.
The people who ordered physical copies for, say, the consoles that it was released for, the next-gen consoles, Xbox One and PS4. If you bought a physical copy of the game for those consoles, and your local GameStop or game store of choice did not have a midnight release, or you ordered it from Amazon, the earliest that you were going to receive the game is at like 10 o'clock your time zone. Like, that's just the way that Amazon and GameStop works.
Right.
If they weren't open at midnight, GameStop opens at like 10 o'clock in your region or your game store, most likely. And
somewhere out there.
UPS doesn't start delivering until at least 10 a.m. And Amazon has a release day guarantee, but the thing is the release day is 24 hours long, and I'm sure, well, they've probably missed that. It has most likely not been their fault, and if it has, they've probably made it right with whoever they, whatever. So, I posted to you a couple interesting posts. Now, I'm not going to credit these to any people just because, but I felt they were probably some of the more egregious ones, but not the only ones. Most of them were just dumb. Where are my keys? Expletive deleted. I'm done shopping here. Green Man Gaming has failed for whatever.
How can I trust them?
Yes, this is the one that I was going to read. So, here, I'm just going to... Now, this is a quote from a post. Watch Dogs is the 23rd game I've bought from Green Man Gaming, and it will be my last. I am fine that we don't have keys yet. What I don't appreciate is the lack of communication. Green Man Gaming is a business, and the other guys who are in the same line of business are not having any issues right now. So congratulations, Green Man Gaming. You have destroyed my confidence in your service. Okay, so that right there, if he had just stopped right there, it would have just been a normal... if not slightly, the normal entitlement, over-entitlement that I was just talking about. He takes it a step further, or they, I should say, I don't know if this is a male or female. They take it a step further. If I can't trust you with something as simple as delivering my purchase or letting me know when I can expect it, by the way, you can expect it on the day that it was being released, the 27th, which I pre-ordered months ago on the first day it was offered, then I sure as hell won't trust you with my credit card, personal information, or really anything else. My friends, we have just taken what I like to call a leap of faith into the unknown. A leap of logic, if you will. And I will quote myself here in saying, I like how he moves from the lack of confidence to get his game day one, and that somehow translates in the inability to secure credit card data especially when Green Man Gaming uses a third-party credit card processing service, in which that you do not even provide the credit card data directly to Green Man Gaming. You give it to a third-party credit card service. The credit card service processes the payment for Green Man Gaming and then puts that payment into a bank account for them or some sort of escrow account or whatever, right?
Right.
And for that, deals with credit card processing fees, the securing of the credit card, and all the other stuff that goes along with it, taking their cut off the top as it goes to Green Man. I am not super familiar in how this process works other than the fact of what I just mentioned, because I do know people who are using credit card payment processing services online for the exact purpose of it's really hard to follow all the rules to secure credit card data. They're not a credit card processing company. They are a game selling company.
Right.
They don't care about your credit card. All of it is stored with this third party, and it's just a record in a database that points, like when you say save credit card data. Now, I'm not saying that it's smart to necessarily save credit card data online. It's not what I'm talking about here. But when you do save it, it's just a pointer in the credit card processor's database to the Green Man Gaming database that links you together. This is how databases work. They have index fields and all that junk, right? So the next one was also a nice one. It's a part of a thread, so it starts, this is the second half. I didn't feel the need to quote the first half. I mean, 25% seems like a nice discount, but paying 75% to not have a product isn't acceptable in my books. Paying 75% to have a thing at release and not having it 30 minutes later was enough for me to go ahead and put in a ticket for refund. I really don't understand why anyone in this thread hasn't done the same already. I'm Jackie Chan face.
Jackie Chan face. So what they do, just like not play the game at all, or just go buy it somewhere else?
So here's what I can gather from what most people did. So they went to Green Man's 24-hour support desk website, which was separate from the actual Green Man Gaming website and was still accessible while the site was down. They put in a ticket requesting a refund because with Green Man Gaming, their refund policy is if you pre-ordered the game and you haven't been delivered the key yet, you can have a refund on the game. Right? Perfectly understandable. There are a lot of places that do that, right? Amazon will do it. You can cancel an order anytime. Amazon even goes so far as letting you, not even taking the money out of your account before you even get the game, right? They don't take your money out of your account until the game ships to you, whether that's digitally or physically or hell, anything else that you pre-order, physical goods, until it ships to you, right? So it literally is no skin off your back until the thing actually ships. Secondly, GameStop, Steam, Green Man Gaming, Origin, Ubisoft, all of these companies allow you to pre-order their products with, most of them, with the exception of GameStop, will allow you to pay only full price to pre-order or whatever their full price at the time is. It might have a small discount. But once you do pre-order it, if you need your money back, you can go and just request a refund, and then you just don't get the game because you technically haven't gotten anything yet. And there are there are retail laws that protect people who purchase this, at least in the North Americas, that protect against this. But I'm sure there are similar laws worldwide, right? But
yes.
So what they did is they requested the refund. They went over to Steam or Ubisoft and paid what I could see as full price for the game at that point. Not having gotten their money back yet, mind you, because I'm guessing that the support desk was pretty swamped and was probably reacting first come, first served kind of basis. So, and the reason that I could tell that most people bought the game from Green Man Gaming was because of the 25% discount voucher that I had used before.
Right.
Or they were Australian, and recently Ubisoft and Steam both jacked the game price up from the 65 all the way up to like 85, which is not uncommon in the Australian market for BS reasons, nonetheless, but also not that uncommon. Green Man was still offering it for the Australian market at the normal $65 price. So regardless of whether it was you bought it at quote-unquote full price for Australians, but that was still technically a discount price, or in any other area buying it for a discount price, and then there's probably a last subset of a smaller subset, I would guess, that bought it from Green Man Gaming because they wanted to buy it from Green Man Gaming. Maybe they had a little bit of credit, 10 cents, $3, whatever, $5 off, blah, 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 so on and so forth, right?
Right.
Or, hell, maybe they just wanted to give Green Man Gaming the benefit of the doubt. They're going to get a key no matter what. Doesn't really matter, right? Maybe they didn't want to give money directly to Ubisoft. I've had good luck with Green Man Gaming. I'll buy it from them from full price because I buy all my games from them for full price or whatever, right?
I don't buy Green Man Gaming for the full price game.
No, I don't either, but whatever. Maybe
Right.
somebody does. I'm just going to exclude that subset because if they did request a refund, receive a refund, and buy the game for full price from somebody else, no big deal. But these other people, they've taken their chance at trying to get a refund, and I'll tell you why that's a big gamble to start with in a second here. Taken their chance on that without getting their money back onto another platform to download the game by paying for it full price and to sit there and wait for a 14 gigabyte download, which Ubisoft servers, to their credit, sounded like they stood up pretty well to the downloads. I don't know how well their login servers are doing right now, but it's still on most connections. I know today when I finally woke up and got the game downloaded, it took me an hour and a half to download the 14 gigabyte game.
That's about right.
So the thing that really grinds
They would have had
my
to wait
gears-
anyways.
They would have had to wait anyways. And
Mhm.
I went back to that thread today while I had some downtime at work, and I looked how long they would have had to wait if they had just waited.
Right.
From when the complaints started to when the keys started rolling out from Green Man, it was a total of 6 hours, I think? Or 7 hours.
7 hours.
7 hours, I think. From when I looked at midnight EST, or EDT, we're in daylight savings time, right? Midnight on the East Coast in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
It was 3 hours. 1.5 of those hours, on average, would probably have been spent downloading the game.
Right.
So you literally, for 25% more of your money, would have gotten the game to play the game for an hour and a half. And this is not counting the time that you already waited before you made the decision to cancel your pre-order and get the game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the kicker. You have two separate processing queues going on at the same time. The processing queues that is waiting to distribute the keys, whether or not it got clogged up or they just didn't have the keys from Ubisoft to begin with. And then the processing queue of the support desk, who has the ability to offer your refunds. These queues are being worked on separately.
Right.
So, go ahead.
You may have gotten the key before the refund was set to process.
Correct. And guess what happens when that happens? Can you guess what happens when that happens?
The refund was denied?
You got it. And why was the refund denied?
Because they got the key.
Because they have their key. So, I started to see today where people were threatening to do payment reversals with their credit card company.
Mm-hmm.
And this to no end, I almost wanted to create an account and go on there and say, do it. Go ahead. Just do it. It'll be fine. Go ahead and just do it. Because the credit card companies would have laughed at them in their face.
Right.
Because
they got it.
They got the product.
Mm-hmm.
It's in their inbox. It doesn't matter that you didn't choose to use it. It's kind of like you getting they deliver you
a sandwich, and you left the sandwich out, and it's spoiled.
Right. And you're like, well, I want a refund for this spoiled sandwich. Well, we can't give you a refund for this spoiled sandwich. Why not? I didn't eat it. It's like, yeah, so we can't use it. We don't know that maybe you spit in it. We couldn't tell. You know what I mean? It's like, we don't want this. It's also spoiled.
The Food and Drug Administration would be all over our ass.
Right.
If we reused it.
Yeah, if we took that key back and tried to give it to somebody else and it didn't work because you already redeemed it and we already gave you your money back, what are we supposed to do? We have no recourse at that point.
Right.
Sorry, you have your key. We have your money. The transaction has been completed. Can't do anything for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people are like, oh, I'm gonna switch back my credit card and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, and this is where it comes down to the plain fact of it. It was still 5/27/2014 when you received your key.
Mm-hmm.
The game comes out on 5/27/2014. Not
You
at
would've
midnight on 5/27/2014.
But you still got it before you could have gotten a physical copy.
Correct. You still got it before you could have gotten a physical copy from Amazon, the store, unless a store in your area had midnight release. At which case, yes, you could have gotten it. Sorry, this time Steam got it a little bit faster. Uplay got it a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way of the world. Green Man Gaming, I think you did the right thing. You stuck to your guns, didn't have to say anything. I didn't expect any answer from you. I was not I was not like demanding an answer. But just to make it up to everybody, they went the extra mile. So I wake up this morning, I see my Watchdog keys in my Gmail account, just like I would have expected to see. Needless to say, after some fun watching the forums, I went to bed like a normal person might do and said, I'll deal with it tomorrow. You know what I mean? No big deal. So they then sent me an email. After that, I was sitting here waiting for Watch Dogs to install, kind of hoping that it would get done before I had to go to work, but also saying, whatever. They sent me another email. In this email, they gave me 4 free games. Now, these are older games. They're all Steam games. Let me see here if I can pull up what they were. I'll have to go to but are in here somewhere.
Was it Jack Keen 2, The Fire Within?
No.
I have that game. I don't know how I have it, but it's kind of just sitting in my library. I don't even want to open it.
So they sent.
I heard it's really bad.
So they sent Rush Brothers, Post-Apocalyptic Mayhem, Cargo, and Avencast. 4 games that I had never actually even heard of them before.
Me neither.
Don't know. Cheap throwaway games, no big deal, right? And also with that, they included a $3 straight up credit that you can use towards any game on their site.
Right. I think I have credit on Game and Gaming right now.
I had 10 cents before that, so now I have $3.10.
So if I can remember how to log in.
So I looked at that and I said, wow, thanks, Green Man Gaming. That's really appreciative of you. Mm-hmm. And of course, what do I see when I go back onto the... you didn't even have to do that. The game the keys were late by about 3 hours, technically, for my, you could have just given it to the people in the Australian market because it was much later over there. But nope, you decided to give it to everybody. It's awful decent of you. It probably didn't cost you all that much money. Great. Good faith gesture. Any good company would do something like that. I would say even the great companies would do that. A good company would just apologize and move on with their lives, right? Mm-hmm. Cool. People are still on their forums threatening to reverse their transactions, threatening to do things like, these games are crap. I'm never buying from Green Man Gaming again, blah, 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 blah. And was an overall, and now there's not really a point to this other than stop being entitled pricks. And the other part of it is Green Man Gaming, you have my business right now. You have done nothing so far to keep me away from your sweet, sweet deal teat. Keep sending me the deals, and I will keep buying games from you. Because, damn, I love saving money. So yeah, that's all I have to say about it. And I think that brings us to the end.
Yep.
Cool.
Sounds like it.
Well, I appreciate everybody stopping by and listening to this once it finally goes up. And I am going to go watch X-Men Days of Future Past.
Ooh, nice.
We'll see everybody later.
Good night.